Hello, everyone. It is great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I am the founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart, yes, the heart of Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, California. Love artificial intelligence and quantum computing. I've been involved in 17 startups and several unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world and opportunities are not. Today, I have an incredible guest, Amalia Formoso, who is a serial entrepreneur, venture capitalist, is in the nice, sunny, warm place of Madrid today. And we're going to talk about longevity. We're going to talk about people, how we can extend our lives, and how we can extend the life of the planet. So, with that, Amalia, how are you doing today?
Hello, Gary. Thank you so much for having me today. How are you?
I'm great. So, tell me a little bit about it. So, first of all, how hot is it in Madrid?
It's extremely hot. I think that we're 34 degrees right now,
Mhm.
Celsius, and but we've been reaching 38, 39. So, so it's quite hot.
Well, I know when I was there a few weeks ago, it was so hot, people weren't out in the sun during the daytime. It was like I've never seen, I've seen in Tucson and Phoenix, Arizona, similar kind of reactions. But the thing that was amazing to me is people come out at like 7 o'clock at night. And it's like daytime. They're walking around. Their kids are on their bikes. They're down in the center of Madrid. Is like it's amazing, and they're out there for hours, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, that's actually when it gets a little bit chillier. So it's nice to go out for a drink or dinner with your family or friends. So that's culture here.
And what time do you get up in the morning? Then, if you're going out to 2 o'clock in the morning, what time do you get up?
No, we still wake up pretty early. I mean, depends on the person, but it ranges from 7 a.m. Some people actually, if they want to go for a run, they would do 6 a.m. So I think that even though it's not good for the longevity, but I guess that we stretch the sleeping hours.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So, you're an investment advisor. You've done a hands-on CFO. Working with businesses. So, tell us a little bit about it. I have a question for you, though. Were you in at Northeastern University? Were you
Yes,
physically there?
yes, of course I was. So I studied international business between ICADE, a university in Madrid, and Northeastern University, with an Erasmus in a sec in Paris. So it was lovely to actually experience. Like when you're raised in Spain, you always watch all these American movies, and you dream about how it's going to be the American college experience. And actually being in Northeastern, it was really really comforting.
Yeah, so that's amazing. And did you learn to like lobster?
I love lobster. Always did. I'm from the coast, so
There you
anything that is seafood. My favorite was the clam chowder soup, which is
Oh
very
yeah,
typical.
yeah. Oh man, that New England clam chowder. You're making me real hungry right now. I got to tell you, like that, a little Tabasco sauce on top. That's good. Yeah, and then
Really tasty.
I remember. I don't know if you've done this, but if you go a little bit further north in Massachusetts, to places like Gloucester, you can go to these clam bakes in the summertime, where they actually right off the boats they take clams and corn and lobsters and they throw them in a bag. And I
Oh,
got to tell you, it's unbelievable actually.
oh, I did a little bit of road trip, but I didn't actually get to go there. So I'll write it down for next time.
This stuff is good. Let me tell you, I'm getting real hungry just talking about it. So you went to Northeastern, and that was this exchange program. You went to the Pontifica University. So what was the difference? So between the Spanish universities and the Northeastern, what was a major besides being a lot colder? What were the differences?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of differences, right? I mean, culturally, the way that people study here in Spain is completely different to the US. So I would say that in Spain it's all about, like during the year you go to class, but you don't actually, and you do your homework, but you don't actually memorize anything. And then the month before the exams, you just close yourself into a room, buy some Red Bull, and then just try to memorize every single
Really?
page.
So you only have and what happens? So all year long, you don't even have to go to classes. You can just like cruise, and then as long as you do a great job on the tests, right?
Exactly. So how that's how it works. I think it's started to change now, and we're adopting more into European and American way. But originally that's how we would do it. And then when I moved to the US, it was quite a good experience because everything was more practice, right? So you have to do all these jobs and team presentations that it was a constant work, and then the exam was really easy. So that is one of the biggest things.
Wow, amazing. So you did that, and you worked at the Richmond Group. Do you mean the Richmond like Mount Blanc pens and everything?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, my family always encouraged me since I was 16 to start doing internships. So my first one was at Acerinox, which is a steel company that it's trading on the public market. And then my second one was at West LV. And my third internship was at Richmond. So I was working for Bowman Mercier.
Why did you do so many?
Well, to develop the experience, I guess that I always knew that I wanted to be in business, but I didn't really know. I knew that there were a lot of different departments, and I really didn't know which one I liked better. So I used my university experience to be trying different companies and different roles. And my passion came when or was developed when I was working for Lehman Brothers in New York. So that's where I realized that I really like finance. And then on my last year at university in Northeastern, we had this class called corporate finance, which it was all about M&A, acquisitions, investments, etc. And then I realized that that's what I wanted to do. So after that, after graduation, I just said, okay, so M&A it is. So I moved back to Spain, started working for Arcano Corporate, which is a mid-market M&A firm.
Hmm.
And then after 2 years in Madrid, I loved the business, loved the industry, but it was missing a little bit of the international background. So moved to Hong Kong and then to London, and started working for HSBC, also in M&A for TMT. And then that was end of 2012 that the markets for M&A were very, very dry. So we were doing very long nights. I think I was doing an all-nighter per week. And so then I decided to move into the buy side, and I joined ICG, which is it's an asset manager. You're probably familiar with it because right now they are managing 71 billion. When I joined in 2000 and end of 2012, beginning of 2013, we were managing 12 billion. So it's been a massive growth in just
So
10 years.
what money do they manage? Where does it come from?
So it comes from investors. So the way that it works, it started developing from a few institutions. So they raised the money from a few institutions, and then they started investing that capital, and then they got approached by investors. So they set up the first fund, second fund, and then decided to expand into different products. And now it's a huge asset manager that focuses on equities, secondaries, credit, real estate, infrastructure. So it's very big. So when I joined, I was helping first. I was working on the fundraising team. So I led the fundraise of 2.5 billion euros for the US and the Asian strategies. And then I decided to move into the investment team where I was doing primary, secondaries, and co-investments directly.
Wow, that's amazing. So how was it living in Hong Kong?
So Hong Kong was good. It was a short experience because it was only for 3 months. But then most recently, like the last 2 years, I moved to China, and that has been the real experience.
Now, are you in China? They're not in China now. You're in Spain. But how was what's the difference between Hong Kong and China in terms of the mentality?
I think that Hong Kong, in my view, I mean, you know that when you go to Asia, each person has different experiences depending on who they are hanging out and how deep they get into the culture. So my experience is that people from Hong Kong, they are more westernized, while China is still very Chinese oriented. So the way for me it was a major. I mean, I had two shocks when I got there. The first one was, how developed China is
Hmm.
in comparison to what we have in mind here in the
They're
Western.
not riding the bicycles around like the old days. We used to see these.
You still see them, but it's not as common in the same way as I remember the first
What
time
was
I.
like shocking that when you were there? What was like, besides the food was a lot different sometimes, but what was like shocking? You go, wow, this is unbelievable. I never thought this would be like this.
Well, first of all, it was that the first time I went to China was in 2009, and I remember Beijing. You could not see further than 500 meters
Really?
because everything was so polluted that it was really hard to see, and your clothes when you would get home it would be like a little bit dirty. However, now everything is clean. Actually they are, because decisions in China, they get done straight away. So if the government makes a decision, it's implemented within weeks. Well, I believe that here in Europe, things take a little bit longer to actually be
A
executed.
lot longer sometimes, yeah, years.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
talk
So
about it. Same in the U.S. They talk about it before the action. So, how did they treat you? How were they treated? How were you treated back then? Did people were friendly to you, or how was it?
so I think that it varies, right? So mentality has changed quite a lot. So back in 2009, China would treat Europeans or American as if we were, kind of like gifted somehow. However, nowadays, like that idea of the Western being, like more modern or more having more knowledge is, I don't think that it's as much as it used to be. But for me, the biggest strike was when doing business. So here in Europe, you're used to, like when you are in a negotiation, you start here, right? So one is in here, and then the other one is here, and
Yeah,
then you start negotiating, and you reach to a common point.
right.
But you go step by step. So you agree one stage, second stage, third stage. When you're in China, one of the things that shocked me was that you would agree on point one, two, and three, and then you would say, okay, next, let's move on to the next. So then you would have point two and six, and then you will be like, okay, let's shake hands now. And then they're like, no, 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 sorry, we still need to discuss point one. And it's like, point one was discussed like a month ago.
Really?
Yes. So then that is like, it's kind of like on the book The Art of War, right? It's a full strategy, and that for me was very, very shocking.
And so,
When
what happened when you went back to point one? What did they do? Say, "Oh no, but we didn't talk about six." What is it
so
like
you,
a shell
so
game?
well, no, until you actually reach to an agreement, but it's for them to actually win, right? Because you're getting exhausted. So
They're
then
trying to
that's,
wear you down.
yes, exactly.
So, did you? What did you do? Did you say, "Oh, you're not going to wear me down. I'm going to keep going. Let's go all day." Right?
So it would depend. Actually depends on the urgency, right? So this is always as business. So when you have enough time, then that's not a problem, because you can still negotiate. The problem is when you have an urge to get things done. So it would depend. It would totally depend on what negotiation I would be in each moment. But trust me, I would learn. I did learn my lesson.
So, what's the best lesson you learned out of that experience? What would you do? What's the best way to win in that situation?
To realize that time is not as important,
And so they
because
use time against you, right? They're using
exactly,
time.
for
They
us,
understand
time is
Western
money.
value time, right? Time is money. I got it. That's
Exactly.
interesting.
So I think that was one of the first things that I had to learn.
And would you go back?
Well, I mean, after 2 years, it's been a great experience. If I have to go back, I would definitely go back. But doing businesses, I prefer to do them in Europe.
No.
But it was a really, really good experience where I've learned a lot. So
So tell me a little bit about Experiencia, about Zarita. So Zarita was a China-based company, correct? So how did you were the CFO and private investor. What's a private investor?
yes, so I mean, when I came across Rita, they were looking for a CFO that would help. Well, they were actually looking for money to raise capital in order to expand the business. So we started conversations, and then I decided that I could be a partial CFO, so an advisor CFO. So they would remunerate me with equity rather than cash. And then actually COVID came along, and being a fashion business, we had to put all of our hands onto work. And so it actually was very successful, because we put a contingency plan, and that allowed us to survive those really tough months. And then that was good because, like once you've survived those months, a lot of your competition is gone. So that you're always, if you manage to hold it, then you end up in a better position than you were before. So that allowed us to start defining a growth plan.
Mhm.
So we developed a new business plan, and then we reached new investors to raise capital. We raised 500,000, that was very good, and then we started expanding.
That's
So,
great. So did you enjoy your experience or not?
yes, it was. I mean, every day was a different.
So what is the wildest thing that you've seen? So, we're in China when you're dealing with these different cultures, including the US. What is the wildest thing you've seen that's culturally so different it was just way out of the park? It was amazing to you. What's different besides the speed of getting things done?
I don't know. I mean, for example, bribing, even though I'm not sure if this is politically correct to say here, but that still happens over there. So
Really? So what
yeah,
happened?
like if you're dealing with shopping malls, in order to get things done, the envelope
Yes.
under the table, it still works.
Really? And we call it greasing the skids, right? From back in the 30s and 40s here. But that's amazing. Well, you don't do that in Spain. It's probably not that prevalent in Spain, right?
Well, I remember back in 2007, 8, 9, construction business, you would still do it.
Really?
Yeah, I remember in one of my first roles in M&A, we were advising one client, and like it didn't happen under our eye, but they asked like, would it help if we? I was like, no, 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 you can't do this. So that allowed, that let me think that, like the sector still
There's
had.
some monkey business going on. That's amazing. Okay, so you get down through and what about so tell us about what you're working on today.
Yes, so when I came back, so I decided to come back because of COVID. So China was great because we didn't, I mean, we were very protected. Life was as usual. However, it was really, we couldn't fly because the country was closed. So spending a year and a half without being able to see family,
My God,
that's,
you were in China for a year and a half.
I was there for 2 years actually. So
So when you were there, did you have a visa that did they extend the visa for you so you didn't
yes,
have to leave? Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yes. So
Well,
I
how was it living over there during the COVID?
No, it was fine because I landed there on March because I
Mm.
came back to Spain because we were organizing a fundraising gala in Madrid. And when I landed back in China, they closed the frontiers. So we were using masks for like 2 months. But in June, we were not using masks anymore, only if you were using public transportation. So life was back as usual and we were living very comfortable, and then the only problem was that a lot of the families were split, so because the frontiers they closed from one day to another, so some families were, half of them were in France and then the other half were in China. So and that, I think that dried a lot of the expats, and a lot of us, we have decided to come back to Europe. So when I came back, I met my current partners, and they were basically launching a fund, and a venture capital fund to focus on life extension.
Hmm.
And basically, what the fund does, it's investing in seed and Series A companies. So anything that has an enterprise value below 60 million. And it focuses on software and data driven companies that what they do is they accelerate the breakthrough innovations and the commercialization.
Oh, that's great. So it sounds like you enjoyed it.
It's really good because, like in the last few years we've seen how traditional industries, they've been changed by technology, right? So we started with mobiles, then we had insurtech, fintech, prop tech, and now the next things that we're seeing where technology is having a huge impact, it's actually longevity and the life of the planet. So
Yeah, I did. I had a guy that was a lead author of the Nobel and in 2007 with the IPC. They won a joint Nobel with Al Gore. And so we were talking about it. There's a lot of things going on with the planet. I mean, look at what's happening to you today. I mean, it's unseasonably hot in 26 of the states in the U.S. right now, unseasonably hot.
That's true. I mean, and the thing is, when we're talking about the planet, like I think that people are very conscious because we've seen that the consequences of our past years. So people are starting to get more mentalized that we need to change this. But actually, there's a lot of things where we can improve, or where actually, when I say we, is companies can improve, right? Because if we invest in companies, companies grow, and then that's actually where the impact is shown. So and there's different areas, because when we talk about planet, I mean, we have basically seven major verticals, right? So we talk about energy, which is something that everyone is very, very well aware. But we can see right now innovations about new generation technologies, which are nuclear, hydro, solar, geothermal. But it's also about energy storage, enabling cleaner energy software, marketplace, different financing platforms, and those things, they are actually making an impact. But it's not just energy. I mean, food and water, mobility, which is like the mobility of people and also goods, where we have innovations in battery technologies and recycling, electric micromobility and ride sharing. Then we have like industrial improvements and innovation in industrials, such as process heat and fuels, iron, steel, cement, chemicals, robotics. There are many things that are going on. Also, I mean, another one of the verticals that we look at, it's consumers. So how the economy and how we buy and how we invest. So all about that, people are talking quite a lot lately about circular economy, commerce solutions, sustainable textiles, packaging, waste.
That's something I've heard more about sustainable textile in the last month than I've heard prior to that ever, I think, in terms of people talking about the circular economy. Circular economy, folks, is when they're basically reusing whatever they have. So whether it's used clothing and that kind of thing, but they're using it over and over again.
The second biggest contaminating sector. So,
I didn't know that. So what's number one?
Gas.
Interesting.
Gas.
Wow. So interesting. So what do you think? I mean, I had this Nobel Prize author on the show. What do you think? What's going to happen? Let's say, where are we going to be with this? One thing is, it's great to live longer, but if it's uncomfortable living, it's not a good thing. So what do you think is going to happen by the end of this century? What's going to happen with the technology, with people? What's going to happen in terms of global warming? What kind of
I think that there are two things to have very clear here, right? So one, it's when we talk about the longevity of people, and then when we talk about the life of the planet. Both things are related, because at the end of the day is to extend how we live and how comfortable we live. But it's also about understanding what it's underneath that, right? So when we talk about longevity of people, so people are always concerned about, and people's biggest fear is death. So we're always talking about cancer and sickness, but it's also about aging, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, when it's all said and done, that's all that counts, right? It's like, how can we live longer and better lives?
Exactly. And I think that's the real question, right? So we ask ourselves, like, why do we age? Because if you think about it, like you're born with genes, and you have like 3 billion genes, 3.2 billion genes from your mom, 3 billion genes from your dad. And then why, as life keeps going on?
3.2 billion, million or billion?
Billion.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, but the question is, like, like years pass along, and then why don't you still look like if you're 20 years old, right?
Well,
So
because you don't go to the right plastic surgeon.
That's true. That's true. But
on the outside, at least, I was talking to my doctor actually 2 weeks ago. So my doctor's one of the chief cardiologists, primary care doctor at Mount Sinai, and we were talking about longevity. He told me that some of the stuff coming out is, the target's living to 150. I mean, they're doing DNA tests now where they can tell if you have cancer and trace out amounts, because the cancer put off some bad waste, and these tests pick it up, like 50 different types of cancer. It's amazing.
That's really true. I mean, how do you change, and how do you manage to live longer. It's all about understanding and controlling biology and healthcare with data and so forth. So technologies are actually having an impact because it's helping to cure diseases, extend and improve life, and augment the strength and intelligence. So, I mean, if you can see, if you look back over the last few years, there's been massive investment in biotech and health tech. So this has helped to lengthen the number of years that we live. So, I mean, many years ago, average lifespan it would be 40 years old.
Yeah.
Now we are on the upper 70s, and the aim is to reach what you're saying, like 150,
Yeah.
but actually feeling like you are 60 rather
Yeah,
than.
no. So 40.
So
Some of my friends that are my age, I think they're in their 20s.
exactly. So, but actually, I mean, how this is evolving. I was reading the other day that scientists nowadays they extend life so for 1 year that passes, they extend life 1 quarter. So this means that in 4 years they extend life by 1 year, right? So if we keep doing this and implementing technology into it, the speed of it, we will actually get to a point that we increase life longer than a year for every year, right?
Yeah.
So I was listening to some podcast the other day, and they were talking about longevity escape velocity, right? And they were saying that some specialists forecast that it will be as soon as in 15 years. So that means that if we manage to stay alive, like don't be silly without wearing a helmet or like doing crazy stuff.
In the wrong situation with some not good group that takes you up, spend a little more money, sure.
Exactly, or just actually being more careful. Like when driving, using your seatbelt, and things that are no all brainers. So if
Yeah.
we stay another 15 years healthy, then technologies will add additional decades into our lives.
Oh, I
So,
love that. Oh, I love it. Yeah, we have a
so
question here. Hold on a second. Let me just see. Somebody asked something.
mhm.
Uh, okay. There's a PhD here that says there aren't 3.2 billion genes in the human genome inherited from each parent, but rather there are 6 billion total bases. Bases, not genes.
Okay, well, sorry, he's more of an expert than I
Thank
am.
you. Thanks for the correction. That's the
Thanks
good
for
thing
the
about my
correction.
show. I mean, we go out for, we have up to 50,000 people watch the show. So I love it. Thanks, Ian. We appreciate it.
No, 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 thank you. I
Keep
mean,
us straight, Ian. You know what I mean? Keep us straight because I was buying into it too.
so thanks for the correction. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's very, very important, that we as people, the way that we can make an impact is to support businesses, that then these businesses allow science to keep developing.
Yeah.
And science is not stopping at the moment, so it's accelerating. So and if we look at it, like if we just want to look at the economics of businesses, this is the biggest market share sector of all of them. So that's very important. So going back to your question of where do we see, where this is going, I think that technology is going to have a big impact. So it's all about how you promote and improve innovation and the commercialization of it.
Yeah.
So because to date we've been having a lot of improvements in how studies are developing new ways of helping the planet and the people, but it's about how to make it more accessible to the audience, right? So to the clients. And also because, I mean, when we're talking, for example, about longevity, a lot of the new developments, they are very expensive. So some of them, they are ranging from half a million to a couple of millions. And I mean, I remember last time we talked, you were saying that you're going to clone your dog, right?
Yeah.
And you were looking at two companies for 20, and they were offering actually
5 grand, you clone your dog.
exactly. So
I'm trying to convince my wife though. She said I don't need twins of a basset hound.
no, but it's still, I mean, the price that they are offering you, not everyone, not every person in the planet can afford it, right? I mean, you were talking about 25,000 to 50,000. So not everyone can afford those prices.
Yeah.
But the important thing here is that, it's scalability. So if by using a software that allows to commercialize these products and make it wider, so we increase the volume, and by increasing the volume, what we actually is we can reduce the price.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. So we're coming to the top of the show. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you, and closing thoughts?
Sorry, say that again.
What's the best way for people to reach you? LinkedIn, Facebook, email, and what are your closing thoughts?
Yes, sure. So, you can reach me via LinkedIn, or actually via email. My email is amalia@lebc.io. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you about the type of investments that we do, or any other questions that you may have. And I think that, my closing and the most important message, it's that, it's how do we contribute, right? So as an individuals, when we have some savings, we put it into work, and which is to invest, and we probably help our companies or startups that are close by. But it's all about making an impact, right? So when you're investing, you can invest just for the economics, or to contribute and to help sectors to grow. So I think that that's the way of looking at things, and how we can contribute from our side to improve sectors, and to help, drive industries grow much better, and to drive innovation.
No, that's great. And how do people get a hold of you? How can
By LinkedIn or email. That's they can totally contact me via those two.
All right, sounds great. Malia, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. It was a fascinating conversation. To my audience out there, thanks for joining one more time of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. We'll be back again next Tuesday for another exciting edition. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll see you soon. Thank you very much, Amalia. Bye bye, everybody.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Bye.